The former BBC Newsnight producer behind the infamous interview has told how she was shocked to discover that Prince Andrew thought it had gone well. Sam McAllister, who spent months setting up the sit-down conversation where the Duke of York discussed his friendship with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, said she could barely make eye contact with anyone after the interview, describing it as more shocking than anyone could have predicted. But to her surprise, the King's younger brother was beaming and his former private secretary, Amanda Thirsk, exclaimed, "Wasn't he wonderful?" In her 2022 book Scoops, Ms. McAllister, who was the BBC flagship show's interview producer for a decade, shed new light on the interview with the Duke, who is at the centre of a new two-part Channel 4 documentary Andrew, the Problem Prince this weekend. Ms. McAllister described Andrew as a bomb waiting to go off, but somehow both he and his team thought the whole debacle was a success. However, early elation from Andrew and his team was short-lived as public reception after the programme aired in November 2019 reached the palace. Several charities distanced themselves from the Queen's son and he eventually withdrew from royal duties for the foreseeable future. In the interview with Emily Maitlis, Andrew admitted that he visited Epstein shortly after he was released from jail, describing it as the wrong decision. At the time, Epstein, who died in prison in 2019, had been released after serving an 18-month sentence for soliciting sex from an underage girl in Florida. However, the prince said he did not regret his association with Epstein. In fact, he said there were some seriously beneficial outcomes. He also received extensive criticism for failing to apologize to Epstein's victims. Writing in Scoops, published last year, Ms. McAllister noted that Andrew was given an opportunity to share a message of regret for the terrible acts his friend had committed, but he decided not to. Instead, when asked if he had anything more to say, he decided not to add anything further, saying Ms. Maitlis had probably dragged out most of what is required, she recalled. Ms. McAllister, who is being interviewed as part of the Channel 4 documentary, continued in her book, "It was an interview more shocking than any of us could ever have predicted. I couldn't look at anyone. I could barely believe his people hadn't stopped the interview. I would have, despite the consequences." "How did you think it went?" I asked the equerry. She beamed. "Wasn't he wonderful?" she said. It expected Amanda Thirsk to be distraught, the prince to look shaken or concerned, but she was smiling and he seemed ebullient. "And then it hit me, he actually thought it had gone well. Don't miss. Diane Abbott absolutely should be expelled over anti-Semitism row," reports Xi Jinping transforming China into military empire. Insight, poll, should China be invited to King Charles' coronation? Poll, when speaking with the Political Party podcast in July last year, Ms. McAllister said she had for a time thought the interview could have worked in his favor. In the interview, Andrew denied allegations made by Virginia Giuffre, who alleged that they had sex in 2001 when she was 17, by claiming that he could not sweat after she described him as sweating profusely. The Duke has always vehemently denied the allegations. He also claimed that he had not had sex with her as he was at a Pizza Express in Woking for a child's birthday party with Princess Eugenie. But Ms. McAllister revealed that she never thought he would announce these things to the world. She added, "Hearing him say no sweat, hearing him discuss the closeness of his friendship with Epstein, by the time we got on camera, I never for one second thought he would say all that on air. I felt that if he formulated sensible responses and he said for the first time, in a sincere way, that he was hugely sorry, that he had terrible lapses of judgment, which is what I'd assumed he would say, that there was a possibility, quite a strong one, that could be helpful to him and his predicament. The first installment of Andrew, the Problem Prince airs on Channel 4 on May 1 at 9 p.m.
From above.